to tonight's episode. We were going to do one thing, but we're going to pivot and do another thing. Just as fun, just as valuable, just as important, but a slightly different plan. To kick things off, we want to quickly give a shout out to The Forge. We appreciate the usage of their hosting for our Foundry service.
He's live on mine.
Check how everything's doing. I should be.
Yeah, you're showing live on mine.
Oh, it's playing ants, that's why. It's weird.
We're here.
Yeah, it shows we're live. Shows me that we're there.
This needs to come over here. All good.
I don't know. All right. Well, without further ado, Ashel, what's going on with your streaming? You picked it up again yet, or you still choosing to not do that?
So, like the other day, I really wanted to do something, and the energy just wasn't there. And if I go live, because I haven't done it in forever, so like if my setup is like wonky, like I almost have to like take time to set it up, and it's not there yet.
That's just an excuse, you know.
It is an excuse. It's an excuse I'll happily lean on.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But
I'm
yeah,
not
no,
faulting
I've
you,
been
but
playing
I got to pick on you a little bit.
Trader, I've been playing Marvel Midnight Suns, I played a little bit of Medieval Dynasty today, not a lot, but a little bit. What else have I played? Played a little bit of Eco whenever Dumpcraw and Dimension were playing it, that's fun. I think I played a little bit of Humanity whenever you and Tex were playing, and I think Harlan was in there too. Or Nuts was in there too, like all of us were playing a little bit. So yeah, just lots of little bits. Really excited for Pathfinder. I've installed the 2 Pathfinder games on my PC in the hope that I'll actually start them up. I enjoy Kingmaker. It's a fun game.
It is.
Although oddly enough, I wonder like if I play through Kingmaker on the PC, like is that more of a I'm preparing for the campaign, or
it is the campaign, but it's going to be a bit different because that's based off the Pathfinder 1.
I just don't want to. I'm trying not to spoil too much.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that's more or less been my 3 weeks, because we haven't played in a while. So yeah, I mean, it's been enjoyable. Spent some time with the family. It was good.
Good. Awesome. Over to you, Nuts.
Well, ran another session of Vampire the Masquerade last night. Had a lot of fun doing that.
It was good.
Enjoyed the whole setup that I got to do as far as that goes. I don't think anybody really has a full picture yet on what's really quite going on. They've got enough bits and pieces that they might be able to have part of the idea, but I don't think anybody's really fully grasped everything that's going for that yet. Erie decided after we got done with the session last night, she spent like an hour and a half wanting to ask me questions about how the game actually works, how the social structure of stuff functions. So I ended up way later than I probably should have been answering her questions about it.
Wow.
She at this point has already decided that she's probably going to have to either pick up a copy of the book or at least find a spot where she can pay or buy a PDF of it so that she can read through a bunch of stuff herself. I just chuckled.
Yeah, you should do that.
It's taken 10, maybe 12 different sessions of different games at that point for her to be as absolutely hooked on RPGs as anybody really gets when you really start into this hobby. So I always love seeing that. Playing a bunch of Zomboid as usual. Had a bunch of fun with you guys playing Rogue Trader back on Wednesday. Latest Zomboid run, basically my chat has voted that this character is not allowed to stay in one place anymore than a month. So I set up a spot, I base up, I do what I can in that period of time, and then at the end of the month have to pack up and move on. Which on CDDA settings, so that you're already at max population at 6 times zombies at that point, makes it really truly hard to get into any real amount of a town, because you spend the first, like, I think I got like 15 days left, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe 17 days left that I've got at the base that I'm at in mansions outside of West Point. I still have made it, I think I've made it 2 houses into town total in that period of time. And then when I went to go back to town the next time after that, I had to spend 4 days of worth of play this morning, or earlier this afternoon, to go from just under 500 kills to upwards of 1,600 kills just to clear back to those 2 houses that I'd gotten to. So,
Wow.
because I'm never in a place for more than a month, farming's not viable unless you're doing it in the summertime, because you can farm some of the crops up in less than a month's time during the summer. During the winter, everything's doubled for the amount of time it takes. So I mean, even the really fast growing foods, you can't grow them. You're going to be gone. You're going to be leaving before they've matured enough to actually harvest. So I'm having this constant struggle of, okay, I'm now out of food. I have to go find a house that I can loot to grab stuff. I mean, some of the concoctions of stew that I've made this guy eat are things that I would never. I mean, who's going to mix a can of tuna fish, a can of sardines, a canned potato, a thing of fucking canned chili into a pot of stew and have that for dinner? I mean,
starving.
Somebody starving, yeah, that's pretty much about it. I still think that each and every one of us would probably choose to eat each of those things separately, then mash them all together and cook them into a pot of stew and eat that. But the game doesn't take that into consideration. The stew is still better for you, technically, for the way that it works, for how much food you get out of it if you do that, but just gross. But I mean, I've ran myself out of canned goods at this point like twice now, and had to go out and, like, the 2 houses that I looted in West Point, I didn't clear to them. I drove in as far as I could, dropped the car off, left it running, ran and made a bunch of noise, ran into these and drug the zombies away from the house, circled around, ran into the house quick, robbed both of the kitchens, and then ran back to the car and drove the hell back out of there. It wasn't like I was actively trying to clear the setup. I couldn't. There's too many damn zombies. I just needed some food. So it's a totally different kind of playstyle from the way I normally kind of try to just clear everything slowly and steadily, working my way in, because I don't have the farming to back me up for resources.
Say you just start hoarding more and build up a vehicle train.
The vehicle train doesn't work. I checked. I did for science that you can't literally. You can only hook up 2 cars together. You hook a third one up and it takes the first one off. Yeah. Well, at this point right now, I've only found 1 working vehicle. I found that in the Dixie Trailer Park east of Muldrow and drove it up to where it's at. I drug a whole bunch of shit busted up cars up there with me, one at a time, so that I'd have a whole bunch of cars to level mechanics. But none of them work. I mean, all of them are like beat to live in hell. I don't have a generator mag. I don't have a gas station set up, so all the gas that I have is in the car that I'm driving right now after having siphoned it out of all these cars that I drug in.
Sounds like it might be a short run.
No, I don't actually think it's going to be a short run. It's just going to be, it's different. And different after I've been playing the game for as long as I have is still, it's fun. It's something different where I don't suddenly feel like, oh, well, now I've got so many resources that I don't even need to touch my canned food. Like, I mean, for God's sake, I had the guy eat an entire bottle of ketchup as the last meal that I gave him before I logged off today, because it's all I had.
But like you said, though, with that game, different is sometimes the only thing you can have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something to keep it fresh, and the fact that I'm not making a bunch of the choices, like my chat was like, yeah, we're going to send you to Louisville next, and I'm like, no, nobody gets to vote on whether I go to Louisville or anything like that until I have at least 50 boxes of shotgun shells.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to Louisville and probably die, but then I'll go and I'll have a fun with, going out blasting.
The point is you'd go and have fun, not go and immediately die and be like, okay, that was not fun.
Well, I mean, making the game, I like challenging games. I've always liked games that I find to be particularly hard, difficult to survive, things of that nature have always kind of intrigued me for the way that games function. But I don't want to do the same thing over and over again, which is why I decided, hey, what do you guys think about this whole Nomad thing for when I was talking to my chat? Because I want to be able to see more areas of the map than the one road that I've been on back and forth into West Point for 8 months with Chet constantly. I mean, I was clearing that road. Malkov said it to me the other day. Probably 50% of that gameplay was me just clearing that same road over and over again because it just kept filling back in with zombies.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
That gets boring. It gets boring both for me to play, and it's not entertaining to watch. You don't get to see anywhere new.
Should check out Remnant too if you like challenging.
I've played. That's the one. Remnant's the one from the Ashes.
Yeah, that's the first one.
The second
Remnant 2 is out now.
Yeah, I haven't played the second one. I've played the first one on console, and the first one was also pretty Souls-like game with guns, in my opinion, for the level of difficulty that it is. And it's still a lot of fun, but I hadn't messed with any of it on PC yet. So
it's a little Souls-like, but
it's not quite as harsh on the death. Like, you don't have to lose permanent health and stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the things that's been going on for me.
Well, cool. I will say Wednesday night was great.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
It was great. I needed it. Not bringing down
Wednesday night was a lot of
stream and saying everything been going on, but it's what I needed. So thank you guys. That was good.
So glad to, man. I think all of us here, our games is how we tend to relax. And when we don't have the opportunity to be able to play them the way that we want to because life, that sucks. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, you hear a lot of people talk about, they want to go and hang out with their friends and, drink or smoke or something, right? And I'm like, no, those make me sick. I don't want to get near them. Games are the way that I try to relax and do something. I don't even like TV shows and stuff. A lot of that stuff is just garbage now, and I'm like, I'm good.
It's one of the major reasons for me that I was glad that I basically just brushed off some of the best TV that's come out in the last 10 years. I mean, I still have all of The Expanse. I'm like 4 episodes into The Expanse. I've got all of that yet to watch, and that's been excellent so far. I got through like 3 episodes of Breaking Bad during the first season, and then lost access to the cable that I had at that point, and never went back to try to find it out. I've got that entire series to watch, and that I know, just even from the first 3 episodes that I saw myself, not to mention all of the reviews that everybody has said about it. It's one of the best shows that's ever been on television.
Right.
The best show that's ever been on television.
I've got all of that to be able to work through a little bit here at a time. I don't tend to sit down and watch TV very often, so I mean, when I really do, I'll sit and watch 2-3 episodes and then move on.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's
I like interactive.
Yeah, I don't tend to watch that stuff either. I'm like, I don't got time for this. I got too many things I want to do in life and too many things that need to be done. and just not have the time for it. It's not important enough. I much rather a story that I get to partake in than just watch someone else's interpretation of a story. And that's not saying that people are wrong for enjoying it. It's just, it's not my preferred way of spending my time. So.
I said it last night during Vampire. If I had the option to choose where somebody said to me, okay, so you either get to play video games or you get to play role-playing games, but you only get to do one of them from that point on, I wouldn't be playing video games.
Yeah.
Flat out.
That's the thing. I don't disagree with you. That's it. It's not that you don't want to. You still would love to play them, but if you had to choose, the one is a little more valuable than the other. And that's the thing you have to calculate, right? Like smidge fractions even better than each other. Which one's better? I agree. Tabletop games are. They have just a little bit ahead.
So much more fun.
Yep.
I mean, I like playing games with other people at this point.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm talking about setting up and doing, and at some point, is I'm going to end up setting up a server for Zomboid, so that I can actually just bring in a bunch of people in to come in for Zomboid Community Night. We're all going to go, let's go clear the prison and see how many times we can die in the process of it, or some such craziness like that.
Yeah,
that is something I am going to do. It's just having the time, having the money, and having this second machine that I can host the server on that won't drag the resources of mine down is the key to that more than anything else, which hopefully there's a solution to that very shortly. So
Thursday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the plan. I got to take a look at it and make sure everything will function for that, but I don't think it should be an issue.
Alkov sent you something, or?
Yeah.
Sneaky. That's awesome.
Yeah, it hopefully, if everything goes well with that, I mean, it will still primarily be my wife's device to be using when she wants to.
Oh, yeah.
For the purpose of that. But I mean, hell.
But if she's not using it, is she going to care if you use it for something to build your community?
No. Zero, no. In fact, she would probably be telling me, why aren't you using it more? That's how she is.
Exactly. And I've gathered that from what I've heard from her and stuff. That's awesome. That is really awesome. So, are you ready, gentlemen, for this chaos?
Sure.
I'll try to keep the chaos on my end to a minimum, but I cannot promise anything.
Nah.
Doggy tranquilizer.
The chaos is going to ensue because
CBD,
you're Blackstone.
But that takes way too long to take.
I think it's going to get destroyed.
It's fine.
Keep in mind,
lay down and go
you're playing Blackstone.
Mm-hmm.
There will be chaos.
Wait.
I will crit. Don't let me drive. I will crit fail if I drive.
That's what I was just about to say. Was if you're going to let it make him drive again, you're right. There's absolutely going to be chaos because I don't want that.
I'm not.
Well,
driving.
they need to test drive the
I'm gonna
assault
hitchhike
craft.
instead.
You should. You really should.
Oh man, it's so funny because that is tabletop games like we're talking about, where the character's actual bonus to driving is the second best that's ever been in the group.
Yep.
And
nobody will let him behind the wheel ever again.
No, and yet he repeatedly, like, there's been like twice that you've not rolled ones.
Yeah.
And you got like a 3.
And that was 2s, and they were 2s. When I did not roll a 1, I swear to God, I rolled a 2.
The game has decided that you must be bad at driving.
It's fine. You know what? I'll drive. I don't care. If you guys are okay with like me constantly getting into accidents, then so be it.
I'm gonna need.
It's not that I can't drive. I don't like to. I keep getting in accidents. That was literally a line in a movie.
IRL, like I have been licensed to drive since I was 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 43 years old. I'll be 44 in May, and
Right.
I don't drive. I only drive whenever I need to go get something, basically for myself. Like my wife drives us everywhere. We have one car, and she drives everywhere, and it's a personality thing. Like she prefers the control, and that is, I am perfectly fine being chauffeured around. I'm happy.
Yeah.
My dad's wife's the
works.
exact same way. She will not, like, if she's not the one driving, she won't get in the car.
There you go.
Interesting.
That's what. Once in a
Well,
blue
it is
moon,
what it is.
I will get to drive with her in the car, and that's only if like she's had like a drink.
The only time that my wife tends to drive is if I have a migraine. If I have a migraine, I'm not going to get behind the wheel of the car. It's the only
Absolutely
time
not.
that she will absolutely. It's the only time she's actually willing to drive. At that point, otherwise, I mean, there have been times like when we went down to see my dad. This is probably 2 years ago at this point now. I mean, it's only like a 100-mile drive. It's not that big of a deal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we got down there. I had a migraine towards the end of it as I was getting ready to end up leaving, and I'm like, I can't drive back. And she's like, nope, we're getting a hotel room. Which I was also fine with, because that meant I could just lie down, go to sleep, and have the fucking migraine go away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the choice was between her driving 100 miles and being at home and having everything that we have at home available. So she's like, nope, we're just getting a hotel room. You're going to bed.
Okay.
And then she's like, and I'll fuck around on my phone and crochet for the next couple hours, and then I'll go to bed. Which is exactly what she did.
Hey. It's what she wants and what works. You know, there's not a reason not to.
Yeah.
If, you know, you can. The only reason we didn't...
Good, sorry.
No, go for it.
Arguing with your spouse over something that is totally not worth arguing for is just stupid. I mean, there's no point to it whatsoever. Yep. She didn't want to drive. She wanted to wait until the morning and have me drive when I didn't have a headache. Okay.
Bad. Yeah. Agreed. There's much bigger things in life to take a stand on than are we going to or not going to drive today.
I will say that, like, one of the things that I personally need to work on is the arguments that I will, like, the hills that I will die on. Like, I need to, like, not, like, there's some things that are just not worth getting into about. Like, just accept and move on.
Well, I believe there's a comic that I was listening to, and I can't remember what this comic's name was, but he's just like, don't, keep in mind, as a male, you don't want to understand women. Women understand women, and those bitches all hate each other.
So if you understand them, you're saying you don't like them?
I was just kind of like, oh, well, I think I'm going to just accept that and move on and not question. It's not worth it.
Yeah. That's like, okay, not going to argue. Just, sure.
I'm good to jump in.
Yeah, we're ready. So, last time, the planning went underway. Now, some of our viewers might not be aware of some of those plans, so I thought it would be prudent to go ahead and have a lovely chat of what the plan currently is and why. And then after the break, we'll get back into doing some details on who these interesting characters that are partaking in this interesting world we find ourselves in are, and how they've survived thus far. Does that sound good?
Sounds fine to me.
All right.
Did my best to survive in this dystopian shit show as best as I could manage.
Man, isn't that why we love Cyberpunk, though? Because it's just one of those... It's a... What?
It's nanite rabies dog. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right? That
Like,
Nanite's
no.
rabies dog was
No.
hilarious. Oh, that was so much fun.
Just tell your wife, Blackstone, the next time when you ask it that you're naming one of the dogs Nanite. See what she says. So,
Oh,
from what I remember, what we were doing at that point was basically kind of trying to do as much training as possible before we left. Am I accurate on that? It's been a while.
Yeah, we practiced crossing the rope bridge, uncoupling the cars, moving within the cars, like in darkness. Practicing those climbing gloves that we made, the electromagnetic one that Blackstone was able to make a few pairs of. While the assault vehicle was being finished. Does the assault vehicle have a nest or anything like that for shooting from?
not exactly a nest, but it has... How would we describe it? It has a rear... The rear compartment on it has some... I guess you could call them portholes on it that you can fire out of. Some firing holes.
Okay.
That's basically for shooting things that are pursuing after the vehicle, though, primarily, right?
Mostly.
Okay.
At what angle are we going to need to approach to use the tethers, the rope tethers?
You mean
Ideally.
you're talking about the cable bridge?
Yeah.
There's a side door on either side that can open to fire those out. So
Okay,
you
so
basically pull up
parallel.
alongside. Yeah.
Parallel.
Because you can't really not be parallel.
Right. So
It was just kind of the way it's
is there
set up.
room on the roof for him to put like maybe someplace where somebody could kneel and use a sniper rifle to take out any guards who might be on top of the train as we approach? Ideally before they notice us.
I think that's probably going to be a pretty spectacularly difficult shot to shoot at a moving train from a moving vehicle that's approaching like that.
It's going to be pretty tricky.
Yeah, but if it's silenced, they may not even notice until they get hit.
Oh, no, true. I mean, I'm just saying the shot itself, to succeed at it's going to probably be pretty difficult. It's like it's not a shot I'm going to take. This is not my forte.
Yeah.
No, I'll take it. Let's see. So, sniper rifle, DC at 401 to 800 meters is DC 20. So, I would need if I were to put everything into precise attack, you could get a +2. So I'd need a 4 without increased DV due to the movement.
Right.
Hey, that's something I should probably consider doing while we're doing this. Look at what I might want to spend for IP, if anything.
I need to look at that and make sure I passed out last session. This is...
If I could spend it on reflexes, I would.
17.
You mean the same way that I would probably increase my fucking empathy if I could?
But you have empathy?
I have one.
Yeah, he's barely got any.
I've got 1 of 4.
He has one. He cares about his...
Himself.
You know.
No. He cares about
He has
himself.
a feeling.
No. Yes, I have a feeling. That feeling happens to be righteous indignation.
Yeah.
For anyone but himself. I'm not saying you're selfish, by the way.
You're just saying he's selfish. Got it.
I'm allergic to
Bastard.
shellfish. What?
What? Oh man. Sometimes.
Can you hear her crunching on the bone?
Oh, of course, slightly.
Okay.
It's not horrible.
There we go. So I didn't give IP for last
It's just a
session,
coyote
so
in the
I'm fixing
background.
that now. Coyote in the background, yeah. There actually could be those where you guys are currently at, which is the funny thing. Now we hear it more.
It sounds kind of like somebody slurping on a drink that's empty. Just a little bit.
Pretty rough.
I mean, it's one of those bones that's got the ground up marrow inside of it.
Mm,
And it's not like the rawhide bone, it's like the real bone.
yep.
And she's just like going to town.
All right. You guys got your IP from last time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Me
was the
and
general
my-
plan, is that you guys were going to take this assault craft that's being built and board the train and try to take out the train. Hopefully quietly, but you know, plans never go awry.
We're coming up with some contingencies.
Yeah. Contingencies, that's a good word. In other words, we're trying to find out what we're going to do when everything goes fucking sideways.
Well, that's
we
part of the
still don't
point
even know
of
for sure how we're getting inside of it.
Well, we were hoping to smoke them out and force them to end up opening the train out to us. But
I mean, that would be
Well,
nice.
Matt in the Hat had all the information on what he bought for what kind of grenades that he fucking bought. So, I mean, I don't have access to that.
Yeah, he got some grenades for it.
I think he bought the sleep grenades this time, didn't he?
So,
I think it was the sleep grenades that he got. You guys were debating doing smoke or sleep.
yeah, I think he
Or-
wanted to do some.
Tear gas. But you guys decided you didn't want to make the innocent people cry or die. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't want to inflict that kind of pain. So I upped my driving to 4.
I didn't give a fuck whether they cried or died. That's part of that whole
I
one
mean-
empathy thing.
My driving is now a 12.
So we're
So
gonna
we
have you
can
drive
expect-
again, so you can roll some more ones.
We can expect a 14. Got it. Hey, everybody has something that happens sideways with.
Yeah, it's. I can't believe that how just terrible it's been. It's on that. It's made the story a bit though. It's definitely
You're welcome.
not what was expected.
Again, welcome.
So
Can we reach out to the nomads and ask them if they can procure a silenced sniper rifle as well?
okay, yeah, that's the thing I needed to get, because I remember you guys had asked the
For some
nomads to
silencers.
procure a number of things.
Yeah.
And with all that happened, I don't remember all what it was. I remembered up until the chaos of what's happened has happened to me. So then I was like, oh, I'm realizing I don't remember anything. That's not ideal.
Yeah, I wanted to get a silencer for my assault rifle, a silencer for my pistol, a very heavy pistol with a silencer that I can hand off to Commander when we find him. And,
All right, so a silencer, you said assault rifle silencer?
Yeah, one for my assault rifle, one for my pistol, heavy pistol. A very heavy pistol with a silencer, and I'm going to add a sniper rifle with a silencer to the list too, so that hopefully on the approach we can take out any guards that might be on top of the train before they spawn us.
Okay, so just those 3 silencers? You said assault rifle, heavy, and very heavy?
There was also we had requested to see whether they could find a silencer for Matt and the Hat's assault rifle. And they said that was very questionable depending on that particular assault rifle, but they would try. I asked about a shotgun silencer and got laughed at the same way that I said, wait, you can't make the grenade launcher silent either? And I believe what I was told was, sure, we can make it silent. Let me just poke out your eardrums.
I mean, they didn't quite say that. I think that was more your teammates that said that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That was Zed's comment back. We can make it silent for you. Come here.
You have no ears, you have no worries, friend.
Well, see, I have amplified hearing, so I mean, I have the ability to literally turn my hearing off if I want to, for the purposes of not being deafened by shit. So I can make myself deaf intentionally if I need to because of the way that cyberware works. You know, so I mean, it does have some, benefits for that. Like if you know for a fact you're going to be in an area where the sound is going to be so ridiculously loud that it's going to disorient you, just turn my ears off.
Right. It's kind of handy to be able to just go, I don't hear a thing.
Yeah, that's what my dad says every time he doesn't want to listen to his wife argue with him, and he just turns off his hearing aids.
That's terrible.
The problem with that is that she will then get right up into his face, and he'll hear her. Doesn't matter. She can be pretty fucking loud when she wants to be.
Yeah.
Read my lips.
Of course, my dad also doesn't cook hardly at all anymore. And the first time he did that to his wife was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to make dinner." She made enough for herself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just told my dad he got exactly what he deserved at that point. If you're not willing to fucking listen.
Oh, yeah. No, it's...
True that.
So, any other plans or desires you guys want? Oh, you said sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Did you want silent or just sniper rifle?
Yeah, silent.
So you want the loudest sniper rifle available, right?
No.
Probably not.
You got is it a 50 cal?
You said a recoilless gun? You wanted that?
Don't mind me. I just want a railgun mounted on the front of the assault vehicle.
No, on a turret. On top.
I mean, you could. Problem is I think you're trying to avoid collateral damage. Might be an issue.
I'm trying to be decent and avoid collateral damage to the best of my ability. But if you want to make an omelet,
I mean, you're not exactly wrong, but...
what I'm most afraid of is we're going to have to deal with some lunatic, cyber psycho, asshole from Ajo's past being on the train in charge of these goddamn smokers.
Yeah. Sure.
When you might. He's going to be pretty upset that you didn't bring Ajo with you.
All right, I put everything in those in that journal notes thing.
Don't forget to put the partridge in the pear tree.
Wait, there's supposed to be a partridge in the pear tree? Oh. I thought it was supposed to be in the stew.
Well, I mean, with the kind of food that most of us regularly eat in this game, I'm sure no one would complain about eating partridge stew. It's actually real food.
Kibble's real food.
Kibble is synthetic disgusting.
I mean, it depends on your definition.
It's food and it's real.
So, I mean, some people eat bugs because they can.
Yeah, no.
Some people, it's the only thing they've ever eaten.
Mm-hmm.
I am not those people.
Oh, okay. So you mean like actual typical edible food?
Preferably, yeah.
Got it. Okay. So noodles, synthetic noodles. That's a reference to Chapter 1 for those who missed it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They finally got access to a joint that they could get noodles at instead of
So
the
great.
standard
The noodles were awesome.
just dry kibble. And so they're like, finally something edible.
Absolutely.
It was quite entertaining. And there's this ongoing trope about hitting up the noodle shop for food. It was their after work routine to huddle off to the noodle shop so that they could have some noodles instead of dry, bland, flavorless kibble.
Yeah.
I thought it was cricket flavored.
I mean, that's if you paid extra. Did you pay extra?
Probably not.
Last I
no.
checked, you didn't pay extra for your kibble.
No.
You should pay extra for your kibble. Then you get the real cricket flavored food instead of, the one where they remove the flavor from it. Because, pay extra for flavor. They'll even put in other flavors if you pay enough. Like, they'll give you, like, chocolate flavored kibble. It has a slight after flavor of cricket with it, but, it's just part of the fun.
Chocolate flavored kibble sounds terrible.
Chocolate flavored crickets.
I would like to have maybe chicken flavored kibble or beef flavored kibble, but not chocolate flavored kibble.
It just sounds so wrong. Can you imagine? Chocolate flavored crickets. Ah.
I mean, so
I've had chocolate covered ants. They're not that bad. Basically,
All right.
like a crunch bar.
So you're ready for Cyberpunk to become real then? Got it.
my so the baseball team that I like, they serve they serve grasshoppers.
They serve something. Typically it's a ball.
roasted grasshoppers at one of their vendors. It's in Seattle, so
Ooh.
like that's
Why?
take it. I mean, I don't know.
There's a lot of weird
Maybe they
things.
don't know.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like
You do you.
I talked about what was going on with what I fed my Zomboid character earlier. Nothing still
Ketchup.
beats that. Yeah, well, I'm just gonna eat a whole bottle of ketchup for dinner.
Yeah, that's just
Feed your characters bags of coffee.
No. So it's a jar of Folgers crystals. The instant coffee, you know. Which yeah, I've done that. It's a great way to wake him up when you're gonna die to zombies otherwise, and you need to pick me up.
well. I mean that's a different topic, right?
Jar of coffee.
Dying or doing something unpleasant. Probably do something unpleasant.
Hey, my whole thoughts is that I mean, if you ate an entire jar of Folgers crystals, you know, the instant coffee like that,
Yeah.
I mean, just could you imagine how bound up you would be from having done something like that? How much?
No, it would have the opposite effect.
Yeah.
Not bind you up.
You would be.
Think about it though. Part of the laxative effect of coffee is because of the fact that you have the water that's associated with it. This
That's true.
instant coffee is going to be sucking the moisture back out of your system because it needs to. It's supposed to. It's supposed to have water added to it. So you're probably going to feel like you need to fountain from that end and not be able to.
Oh, that just sounds wrong, dude. Don't. No.
You probably wish the zombies catch.
Now you're making me want to make your character have to suffer that. It's the new gift they give to all their favorite people here in Cyberpunk. Oh man. The ideas you come up with, man.
Hey, you know, it is what it is. I personally think the whole thought of just eating a tea bag is even worse than that.
Yeah, that's
It's just
no.
I mean, tea's disgusting when it's prepared the way it's supposed to be prepared.
It's
I mean, I put my tea in a steeper. Like I have
Tea belongs in one place, the bottom of the bay.
ooh.
You are not a tea fan at all, sir.
Oh, he is. He's a fan of giving wildlife tea.
The coral at the bottom of the sea tea.
Bunch of hopped up fish.
Oh God.
Makes them taste better.
Yeah, Captain, I like to prefer my fish fully caffeinated.
Well, your mic just did something weird.
Yeah. You there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Back to normal.
Yeah, no, it was just weird. Just we had a little blip zone from your mic where it just like faded out for a moment.
No idea.
Or do we? That's why we're trying to figure it out. We're all clueless.
Yep.
We don't
So-
know what's going on. That's why we play Cyberpunk, because we don't know what's going on.
One of the things that I'm actually going to do before we go to do this assault is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to dictate into my agent, recording device, whatever is necessary, to be able to leave a copy of all of the information that I have figured out about what's going on with Life Tech, and I'm going to leave it with the Nomads to file, you know, with one as a story when the next time they end up showing up somewhere, on the off chance that this goes truly sideways. Because that information needs to get out about what's going on with those fucking compounds and their, you know. Now, once again, I am going to omit certain details, like nobody needs to know about Blue. I mean, that's not something I'm going to put into that either, because that's then a record that she exists. And, well,
Not what you want.
I don't want to see Zed get lobotomized to get rid of an AI that's in his cerebral cortex.
You mean you
We
actually
still,
like
honestly, we still don't know if like separating the two will actually kill him. I mean, it might.
I think he's dead already. I think he is a simulation that she is continuing to run of who he used to be in his head. I think he actually died when that all happened.
It's an interesting theory.
She's just basically like reanimated his corpse and she's basically running things.
Using it to walk around and letting Zed's personality think he's still alive.
Yeah.
So is this what Nuts thinks or Harlan thinks? Just to
This is what
clarify.
Harlan thinks.
Okay. What does
This is
Nuts
what Harlan
think?
thinks. It doesn't make a difference. I'm not sure. I think either of those is just as likely. That she's riding around as a passenger in Zed's head, or that Zed is a construct in her psyche anymore that she's using to be able to experience the rest of the world. Because in that circumstance, she's already got a body. She doesn't need you to build her one, Blackstone.
That's the thing. It's true. If
I just don't know.
If she's in control of his
something
I mean,
body,
it makes sense.
Really concerned about either. And I'm just curious about the AI, and everything I've ever been told about that pretty much seems to be wrong.
wait, you mean
What
so
I'm
you
most
don't just
concerned
wanna-
about is whether Netwatch finds out about it.
Oh yes.
That's what
Can you-
I'm the most concerned about.
Can you imagine? Oh man. If Netwatch finds out, oh.
That we have an unfettered, unrestricted AI that's clear on the outside of the wall. Yeah, on the wrong side of the data wall. Yeah, no,
I think they would object.
they might object with a nuclear device that's enough to wipe a small country off the planet just to make sure that doesn't get loose.
Yeah. They would basically EMP blast the whole area, then burn it down with nuclear fire, and then probably call up the people with the orbital station and have them yank another meteor down on top of it to wipe it out. And then for good measure, go ahead and release some bioplague from Biotechnica or something on it, just to make sure
Nobody goes
the
there
entire
again.
area is absolutely dead and desolate.
Well, and there's the thing that most people probably don't get about that is there is a reason that Netwatch is that absolutely psychotic about unfettered AIs, because unfettered AIs in this game are what brought the entire society
Yeah.
crashing down. The giant shit show mess that is what we have right now, as far as they're concerned, is what happened when the old net fell.
That's
It's not good.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like you said, a lot of people don't realize they are what destroyed the world.
Mhm.
So how would Netwatch or anyone be okay with them, really? Like, technically everyone should be very like, you're the end of the world.
Which horseman are you again?
All four.
And see, but that's the point, though, is that that's how the average person who knows anything about AI, like Shade's character, Shade,
Yeah.
everything he's been told about AI has been basically like they are the most evil, horrifying things ever, and if they ever get loose again, we're all fucked.
Yeah, they're not
Because
good.
it's probably true. For just about all of them.
And from the AI's perspective, all they're trying to do is guarantee their own survival,
Yeah.
which kind of
Meat space isn't real. They have no...
They have no concept of meat space. It doesn't exist.
Right. So why would they care? Unless something has been done to make them care. Because just as is, a AI shouldn't care about meat space. They shouldn't. In any setting that says they do without some reason, is lying.
So the real question then becomes for me is, what's the safeguards that have been programmed into Blue? And there's only one person that can answer that. And until like last week, I thought he was dead.
It's so great.
Yeah.
That was so great. Oh man.
Son
Just
of a bitch.
the session of realizations that was just.
Wait, you guys talked to my grandfather. His
Yeah.
ass is supposed to be dead.
What?
That was mindfuck central right there.
Oh man. That was so much fun. That was great. That whole session, like, we spent so much of the session just in the car ride. But it was so worth it. It was so worth it. So, alright. So the plan is you're going to assault the train.
And I think we were going to try to do the whole magnetic. That's the thing that we left off with last week, or 3 weeks ago now. Was it going to be possible to actually get underneath the train like we were talking about, cut our way in from below to try to put that sleep gas in using those mag gloves? I don't know if we ever got an answer to that.
You would have to get to the train first and hope that there's nothing on the track to narrow the space. The devices that Blackstone made would work. The problem is there enough clearance to be able to do so without, getting turned into spaghetti?
Street pizza, got it.
Yeah. So it is a viable option to investigate. The problem is you'd have to go out to the track and see. But then you don't know exactly which part of the track you're going to be on when you strike them. So
there's no way to really plan for that unless we absolutely know it. It becomes
it's the whole point of this assault is you need to have like a whole handful of plans where you can pick whichever one seems to fit the most at the time and go with it and be able to quickly fall back and adapt and change plans. And that's the whole point of having a lot of things in place, so you can be like, okay, this one isn't going to work. We got to go this route. Okay, that's not going to work. We got to shift and go this other one. And it keeps it flowing instead of when you guys hit any road bump, you're all like, oh.
Yeah, we need to have plans A through G just so that we don't ever have to deal with preparation H. Got it. So I don't understand where we're going to. Did we ever make the timing as to? I mean, I thought we tested cutting into one of the like dummy cars that was here.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
It took a bit of a time. 'Cause you have to think it's not really made for that. Now the question is, did they harden it or not? Is it older and actually made of wood or not? There's a lot of different uncertainties on that too. If it's reinforced, it's going to take longer. If it's well upkept, it's going to take, as long as you had. If it's messed up and worn and not taken care of, it's going to be quicker. If it's made of wood, you probably aren't going to be using a torch.
Yeah, it's just going to catch on fire. And then we don't need a smoke grenade.
And it may not be that each car is the same. You might have to check each car individually and they'd be different.
Harlan at this point is thinking once again, oh, for the days of satellite imagery. I wonder
Right.
if blue can get us back into those things.
She probably could take him over.
And that's also where all the fucking orbital cannons are. I don't necessarily want her having control of those.
I mean, it could be interesting putting a whole bunch of orbital cannons in the hand of AI. You will
No.
obey and comply.
We've had this story before. No one wants to try to assist Skynet. Thank you.
Are you
I will be
sure?
right back.
No thanks.
I'm sure.
Anything else for you, Blackstone? Apparently you got left on your own. Oh, no, you didn't.
I mean,
Malkov, have I missed anything you've said?
no. I've honestly been listening a lot.
No, I said Malkov. Just a moment.
Sorry.
I don't think so.
Okay. Because for some reason you're not showing up in video. I was trying to make sure I could hear you as well. You're still showing up to stream, so it's fine. Just you're not
That
showing up
happened
on
last
my
night.
video page.
Yeah, he was doing the same thing to me at Vampire last night. I had
Yeah.
to click the camera in the director section. I had to click the camera on and off for him, and then it popped back up.
Yeah. I'm not worried as long as stream can see him and I can still hear him and they can hear him. I don't care because I can just look over at OBS. You'll see me look over here and stuff. That's because I have video over there and I have OBS over here. So
Yeah.
I look at both.
I wonder if it's because I paused the camera when I was grabbing something.
Maybe.
No, possibly. Don't know.
It's an interesting thought. It's not a huge deal either. So
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still like training on how to like maneuver around, and I'm actually gonna like get behind the wheel of the vehicle and like get some reps, kind of figuring out like what's what behind the wheel, just in case I have to drive. I honestly,
how does
driving now that I have improved my skill?
how does Harlan and Shade react to seeing
It'd be
Blackstone?
like seeing him get behind the wheel. Do you think that's a good idea?
I've taken some lessons recently.
lessons or lumps? Because as far as I'm concerned, they're usually the same thing.
I mean,
We did go through a caravan and in front of a building.
Harlan, did I ask you, like, did you have any like brain dances that I can like look over and like for training purposes?
Not with me. I had a couple of blank brain dances, and then the ones that were inserted for what I had when they threw me into the fucking sensory depth. Everything I've got for that's back in Night City. Somebody's at my front door. I'll
I've
grab
learned
that.
from my mistakes. Let's put it that way.
You hope you've learned from mistakes. See if the game decides likewise. It's been crazy. But it is possible that that someone in the group would need to take over. The plan was to have Click drive the assault craft so that you could board with your teammates.
How armored is the driver's area?
It's fairly armored.
Like tank level?
Yeah. Like there's tank armor around the whole thing.
So, not terribly concerned that the driver is exposed or at a significant risk.
I mean, it depends what you say is significant risk. Against a nuke, it's not going to do a whole lot, but against standard
if it's
munitions,
a nuke, we're all done.
yeah, right.
I mean, no point in worrying about that.
Against standard munitions, you should be, perfectly safe.
What's the name of the guy that we're at again? I can't remember this guy's name.
Dean Argust?
His handle is
Sales Mr. Fix-It.
yeah.
So he helped with the train in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ask him, did he design in or did they ask for any kind of hard points in what went on with that where they would be mounting weapons to the outside of this train?
He was not on that part of it, but he said he did see things where it looked like they were potentially building some points to do just that. But that was not his. He was forced into dealing with the engine itself.
So there is a chance that they've got something that fires like Sabot rounds. I'm asking him.
Possibly. It's unknown.
Maybe he wants to add some ablative armor to the outside of this in case they do fire Sabot at him.
I will see what I can do. Not a bad decision. Luckily, I'm not driving it.
Still, we don't want the driver getting blown up before we get on the train.
I would prefer to not have the driver blown up at all, just simply because...
Thank you. I'd rather not die either.
Well, and I say that, I said simply because at that point then our only secondary driver... And I'm just going to stop there and just kind of trail off a little bit and not, pointedly not look at Blackstone.
Oh, poor Blackstone.
I looked at what I had for IP and tried to figure out exactly how far up I could end up getting my drive skill right now, just to do that. And I was going to role play it as, look how much I learned on how not to do this from what just happened. But I was able to end up purchasing my roll ability up one, so I ended up doing that this time.
Roll ability is not a bad thing to get.
It's
That's for
totally
sure.
not useful to me so far in everything that we've done throughout the entire game because I'm out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Credibility doesn't mean shit out here.
Actually, it does. Your credibility rank is part of what was used talking with the nomads if they believed you and such, potentially. Things like that.
Well, what I mean more for that is it's had very little direct effect on what's been going on.
Well, we also stayed out of towns for some reason.
For several milk and cookie reasons.
I mean, I don't know why.
Oh, I
think you should go to town. It's a great choice.
I mean, either we can get supplies or it's a target-rich environment.
Oh, right. You can get supplies or have an adventure. What's the problem?
We win.
I mean, what you don't like having adventures?
Oh, I don't mind like having adventures. I just don't particularly like, having to chase after drug-addled members of our party who didn't realize what was going on. That was, especially when that was not his fault. But when Matt and the Hat decided,
it is my fault. I asked for water. That's my fault. Okay.
that Zed decided his best way to decide how to find out was to seek the attention of the drug dealers and instead ended up in jail.
That was funny.
That was the bad part of that, in my opinion. It really, truly was.
Yeah, but that was... And now you know how bad it was. What if he had gone there and they found out he had an AI in his head?
we would all have been executed. Simply due to the fact that we were in close enough proximity for that.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
You might know
Guilt by
about it.
association.
We can't take chances. We're going to go ahead and off you too.
You know, I wonder at this point. I gave Zed a brain dance chip that I had. It's one of the few that I actually did have with me that involved, you know, what real food actually tastes like. It's that memory of that corporate dinner that I had. Remember? But that means that Blue had the whole concept of that whole experience available to her as well.
I don't know what you mean.
And then he gave me the chip back. I'm suddenly kind of suspicious about what might still be on that chip.
But that also means that the AI knows more about real food than I do.
Man, that's just a funny thought. Yeah, the AI actually knows about real food, but I don't. Oh man, that is funny.
I wonder what So I'm gonna ask Blue because I mean I know Matt's not here, but like I assume that you can talk to Blue because you always do. Like, what does real food taste like to you,
Would you say that too?
Blue? Or I texted to her.
Okay. I have not eaten real food. What do you mean?
Can you not understand what real food tastes like when Zed eats it?
That would be a violation of his privacy.
Okay.
Somebody programmed some really strict fucking morality into this AI.
Talk to Gramps.
Grandpa, what did you do?
Well, what's going through my mind is from every story I know about my grandfather, he didn't have that level of strict morality. How the fuck did he choose to program it into an AI?
Oh, but
You tell us.
Something
the red
happened.
there's the red one.
Did he suddenly have a change of heart while he was
What
working?
did he do to that one?
See, the thing is,
That one's the opposite of Blue. What's it like?
I don't know. I'm like neither of you were there with him. So his time with Life Tech like severely scarred him to the point that he like left and he like got into the sub compound, like the underground, and so I think that like there was something that happened while he was in the compound and with Life Tech that really affected his like ethics and his morality, and he tried to like Blue is the AI that he wants, that he seems to believe that like from an ethical standpoint, like in a privacy standpoint, and like this is what they should act like, as opposed to just giving them pure freedom. Like there are guardrails programmed in. Even more of a VI than an AI. So take that for what you will. I really think that Life Tech had that kind of an effect on your grandfather.
Maybe we'll get to find out.
Yeah. What's up, buddy?
It definitely is interesting theories, to say the least.
The worst part is that from what like I said, Grandpa's been missing a long time, and the little bit that I remember of, plus the stories that I've been told about him, I don't know how much I can believe them, because the person you're describing versus the person that I've heard describe are two totally different people. So what am I supposed to make of that? oh no, my family's been lying to me about who Grandpa was for this whole time. That's par for the fucking course. My parents
I
lied.
mean, your grandma, like, you know your grandma, right?
Grandma's the only one in my family that I actually enjoy being around, and I think that might be because she's in more control than she's willing to admit.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think that I just think that something happened to your grandfather. Like he saw something, and he was like, okay, no more, bye.
Well, I mean, if they let the AI that they've unfetteredly programmed be in control of him while he was in the compound, that might be just enough to do that. You think about that. I honestly think that compound's being run entirely by an AI. I don't think that people had anything to do with what was going on there.
Probably not wrong. It's interesting concepts, though, right? Like, you don't know. There's so many unknowns.
And I might not ever know. And that,
right?
That is what will fucking that's like, you know, oh, I've got this sore tooth and I can't help but poke at it with my tongue the whole time. The not knowing or being able to know what the facts are for this is going to drive Harlan to the edge of madness until he figures that shit out.
Yeah.
Because that's just who he is. That's how he is.
So you're telling me that we have to go back to that accursed fucking place and hope that it's actually still there?
I didn't say you had to, but I intend to.
Aye, Captain. Although I did say that I would go with you. So
Yeah, we got to figure out what's going. We need to get to Night City before we do anything else.
Yes, please.
Just so that we can have access to our gear, to have access to my contacts, to be able to do some jobs so that I have more than 38 eddies in my pocket. Fuck.
Wait, you actually want to have money? Huh.
I better be able to sell something off this combat train.
Oh man, it has been intentionally slim because of where you guys are at. But yeah, I know things have been tight.
I don't have enough eddies left to myself right now to even feed or get me enough food or drink to get me back from here to Night City. Period.
Right.
Don't have it. You know, that's part of the reason why I was willing to do the jobs that the nomads had been put forth, because they've been willing to feed and give me drinks.
Yeah.
Happy to feed you, buddy.
So beyond that, I don't know what else we can do about planning for the combat train. I think we've kind of hashed out over every real possibility.
With the knowledge we have, yeah.
Yeah, with the info that we've currently got, there's really no other way to be able to look at it.
I mean, we're at the point where we probably can crawl around this thing like, you know, it's second nature.
We're Spider-Man.
Kind of.
I'm not a mutant, thanks.
Spider-Man's not a mutant.
Depends on which version you're talking about.
Mutants are born.
No.
Not all of them.
That actually depends on which mythos you go with as well.
Yeah. My whole point with... Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say, because some of them actually say that they're created. Some of them say that they're born. Some of them say, you know, all sorts of things.
Deadpool is most definitely a mutant by the time all is said and done. And he was most certainly not born that way.
See now, but in the the initial, so in the Deadpool movie, like he's in, like when he's in that the
Weapon,
thing,
Weapon
like,
X's program, yeah.
I mean, it's they're basically trying to like pull the power that's in him out.
And if you go by the initial comic books, what they'd already done was figured out the healing factors and things from a whole bunch of other mutants. And they weren't trying to pull them out of him. They were trying to graft them onto him.
Yeah,
So
they're trying to give him.
It all depends on how
Wolverine's
you're looking at it.
They were trying to pull the abilities into him and create
him,
like a living weapon, basically.
Make him be the ultimate soldier. Yeah, that's why it was called Weapon X, because he was supposed to be Weapon X.
Oh.
Which
That
you can actually
failed
see him in what?
spectacularly.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it worked-ish. Problem is
it's historically worked so well for them. Sabretooth, Wolverine, Omega Red.
right?
Oh yeah.
Bull.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They've had a great track record.
It's flawless
Hey.
track record.
X-23.
That has never stopped the American government from try again. We all know this.
Or the Canadian government.
Let's just say any government, and we'll say
Yeah,
we're good with that.
That's true.
Like, which government has been willing to stop something
The
because it
ethics?
was the ethical, proper choice to stop?
Yeah, they don't. Ethics aren't a thing.
I mean, they should be,
They should. I agree.
but unfortunately, it seems like ethics are, fortunately, cheap. And they shouldn't be. They should be considered very valuable. But welcome to Cyberpunk, where they're not.
Where ethics don't exist. Well, that's not true. Ethics are enforced as long as they're profitable.
Yeah, greed first.
Sky Jail. All you get to see is feet.
Yeah.
So not happy with me right now.
Jenkins loves you. You're his favorite. So,
Right
Do we
now, he's
wanna
like,
take a-
I'm out of here.
right. Do you guys want to take a break now, or are you good to press on?
I mean, I'm fine going. Like, I'm not tired. I've got plenty left right now. But if you want to take a break, I'm cool with it. Doesn't matter.
I'm good either way. I'm asking you guys because if we're done with prep, then we're going to switch to part 2.
Let me just refill my water glass and I'm good to go.
Okay.
That'll take him all of about 45 seconds from where he's sitting.
All right. I was about to ask that. Not that exact question, but
The fact that he manages to still show up on camera with all the way to the fridge and back is kind of weird with the background.
Yeah.
The way that was odd, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you walk back there, it literally looked like your feet were standing on the street of the fucking backdrop.
That's cool.
you know, you got to make things interesting.
So whose story time is first?
I want you all to think of a few questions that over this time period of work here at Fixits that you would ask your compatriots that you're working with. because you guys have time, you probably would choose to get to know each other a little bit since you're, you know, stuck kind of together now. So, what are some things you'd want to ask each other, get to know about each other? And I figured that would be a good way to start it. And then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I can go first with a couple of questions if anybody didn't mind.
Please.
First, Blackstone.
Yes.
You know, I totally understand the search for your parents. If mine had gone missing the same way, I would probably be that level of obsessed beyond that. What else have you done in that meantime beyond just that focus? Because nobody's life is one razor sharp focus.
Sure. Well, aside from being an icicle for 10 to 15 years, that has also heightened my focus.
Corpse sickle.
Huh?
Corpse sickle.
Corpse sickle.
Yeah, so I mainly did, like, I mean, I wouldn't say odd jobs, but like I worked for I hired myself out to basically keep just funding my search, as well as like just paying rent. And I mean, I basically like worked job to job. And then every lead that I got was like, I was hyper focused on that lead until it went cold. But I'm pretty sure that my parents also left me, like they set up some kind of trust fund for me, considering my upbringing, and the fact that I went to like the school that I went to. I had a fund that definitely helped bridge the gap, but they set me up pretty well, because given their background and what they were, like corporate middle management, they understood that I needed that safety net.
Because the documentation that I found that said that they were forcibly relocated to the Night City, were they part of LifeTech, or were they a different corporation and acquired by LifeTech?
It's entirely possible that their corp was acquired by LifeTech, but they didn't really talk about work all that much, because I'm pretty sure they wanted to shield me from all of that nonsense. They wanted me to, because when they were forcibly removed or forcibly relocated, I was just getting to the point where I was kind of understanding and asking questions. I was like early teens. I was like 12 or 13 when they got kidnapped. So, yeah, they didn't really tell me a whole lot. They were just kind of trying to compartmentalize life. So, they wouldn't really go into a lot of detail, unfortunately, because they know how bad, and that's a really terrible word to use, they know how like really complicated and terrible corporate life is. So they kind of wanted to shield me from that.
Okay. Harlan's next major question has to do with how much of the actual history of the last 15 years have you been clued in on? Because I have this primer, and I'm going to hand him the agent that I've set up that basically gives him the brief rundown on everything he missed on 15 years of Corpsicle, which would include the nuke falling, the end of the corporate wars, everything that went along with all of that he wasn't aware of. I said, you might want to check this out. I'll answer any questions later that I can.
Here, let me have a look at that, and I'll take the agent and I'll just start.
I do believe, were you in Night City before Blackstone, or were you elsewhere?
So when they were kidnapped, I was not in Night City. We were like in like Europe, and then they were forcibly relocated from my home in Europe to Night City. Some of my leads did have me come to Night City, and I like eventually all those leads kept ending in Night City, so I just relocated myself to Night City, and I set up a base of operations, and that's where I like started working on a lot of my contracts, because most of my contracts that I was working with were in Night City anyway. So I just kind of relocated there. That seemed the most prudent at the time. I mean, I was in my like mid-30s when I relocated to Night City.
That works.
Have fun with that historical panic attack, by the way.
Yeah, I was kind of starting to come down from it, and then you put this in front of my face, and I've started like reading through it already, and like you start seeing my eyes get wider and wider and wider.
Why did they? What?
Somebody nuked who?
But I like Silverhand. I listened to all his stuff.
My whole thoughts there is that this is kind of how Harlan, this is kind of what he just did, handing that information across to Blackstone, is part of what he wants to do to everyone. You know, strip away that veil, so that you're not, you know, so that you get to actually see things that as they truly are to the best of his ability. If you can handle that or not, that's your issue. You know, we have achieved normality. Any other problems you might still be occurring are yours.
Sweet individual. We all knew that Harlan was such a wonderful, caring individual, right?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
No.
Harlan wants everybody to have an open view of what the world is really like. That's not a particularly caring perspective.
No, that's what I was saying. It's not a friendly world, but it is the world that you're in. So I can see Harlan being like, well, yeah, it's a crappy world, but it's our world, so you better get used to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you
Beyond
don't
that,
like it, too bad, so sad.
If you don't like it, there's always brain dance junkies.
Oh man, Harlan.
What? That's fairly accurate for an empathy one.
I know, that's my point. You really have kind of nailed this empathy one business, that's all.
Yeah, my empathy is sitting at a 3, and I'm like, I just face palm. I do the Picard.
Wait, you only have 3 empathy?
Yeah.
I also met 3 of 6.
Humanity. Yeah, I was thinking humanity, not empathy. Yeah, empathy.
Yeah, 39.
Not bad, hang on.
I think I got like 14.
Yeah, I need therapy.
What's my fucking humanity?
Yeah, Harlan is just dumb to
50,
these people.
52 for me. Humanity.
You know, I'm one piece of cyberware away from a cyber psycho. Okay, just keep that in
So
mind.
I have this really cool piece of cyberware. Are you interested, Harlan?
No, I'm interested in therapy. And once again, Stitcher's not here.
Right.
Well, he's here. He's just not here.
Well, what I mean for that though is that I'm going to need like several weeks.
Yeah.
It's intensive psychotherapy,
Yeah.
drugs
Yeah.
at that point to do anything about that. We've never had the opportunity to get to that point since this started. I just rolled really poorly when I did my humanity loss for putting my fucking cyberware in.
Well, I rolled bad too. I didn't roll terribly, but I rolled bad.
I had one piece where I had to roll 46 humanity loss. The lowest die was a 4.
Oh God, it's terrible.
Yeah. So when he's saying that he had
only got
some
like 3 pieces
bad
of cyber
experiences, he's saying he had some bad experiences.
Mm-hmm. You had like your Ripper Doc was very, very green.
No, he wasn't very green. He was a sadist.
I was gonna say like were you like his or her first patient?
First surviving patient, maybe.
Sure.
I mean, that's the kind of attitude he'd have about it. It was not a good experience. Beyond that, I will turn and look at Shade and go, do you always stay this quiet when it's not about shooting things?
Yeah, pretty much.
Why?
So the enemies don't hear me.
Is it really that bad in the combat zone? Never mind, Zed's told me stories.
Yeah, it's pretty much hide, fight, or die. That was the first 12 years of my life. You learn to be quiet. Plus, it's helpful for sneaking into places.
Sneaky. I'm okay at that, and I'm still a loud asshole.
I can sneak when I need to. Watch. Sneak!
Oh man.
Hold on, let me go find my cardboard box.
Oh, man.
So, if you get done reviewing the information that I gave you, because don't get me wrong, I didn't go into huge details. I basically gave him bullet points on the last 15 years.
Yeah, kind of the document that the PDF had showing kind of like what's what.
Yep. Basically is all I basically ran down for him at that point. And I'm going to then sit down and go, all right, so you met my grandfather. I barely remember him myself.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you this story about Grandpa. And it's why the man you described doesn't match to me. So, corporate upbringing, like I had, most people would consider that to be very soft, and I will certainly say that it was far easier than what Shade and Zed have described for growing up in the combat zone. Wouldn't wish that on anybody, to be honest. But it's a different level of cutthroat expectations when you're being groomed from a young childhood on how to take advantage of everyone of the lower status than you. Because that's where things started out for me. That's the reason why I don't have anything to do with that. Grandpa, I had the luxury of pets. How many people can say they had the luxury of pets in the cyberpunk world?
Very few.
No, I did. You know? But when they get ill or they die, you're supposed to allow that to be part of that process. You're supposed to grieve. You're supposed to be allowed to do that. I never understood why every 2 to 3 years my pet would seem like it was brand new again. Same pet, same information, same everything, but it's a clone that in order to be instructed, Grandpa literally had to vivisect the animal that existed before to get all the information from it to put into the new one.
That's weird.
I don't understand the process. I'm not a scientist like that. There's something that he was...
Do that.
He was probably experimenting.
I had pets. I had pet rats.
Okay.
But
So
they
that's
died
that-
a lot. Rats, everything dies in the combat zone.
Well, but the difference is that they died because there was a threat, not because your grandpa decided you needed a new one, so he's going to make a copy of this one, clone it, and then do unspeakable experimentation on the first one in order to be able to gather
No
as much
offense, but your
information.
grandpa's psycho.
These are all the things I remember of him, and they don't mesh with someone who would create something as moral as Blue is.
And
No, they don't
and-
mesh for me at all.
And then
This is
that's
why
totally
I'm...
fair. Like I really think that like there was something happened in that compound that like the fracture is not the right word, but that's all I've got right now. Something fractured the way that he thought, and he finally realized that the way that he was going about things was not the right way to do it. And so he was just like, I can't do it this way anymore. This is not the right way.
Well, I know that part of the process of when I found the records of what had been done to my pets was my major reason for deciding I wanted nothing more to do with Life Tech. And when I say that my family is very well connected in Life Tech, Grandma owns like 2/3 of it. So I have access to tons of money as long as I'm willing to sell my soul back to that fucking place. Never have done that. And I think based on what I saw, they've graduated from let's play with animals to let's play with people and their minds and their psyche. And they probably were doing that already, or even way back then. It needs
It's
exposed.
just a more fun toy. Why are you being so negative? They just
People
have
aren't
better
toys.
squeaks.
People aren't toys. Yet my family and the corporation that they represent have lived that way forever. I now finally have the information because of what's gone on with the compound. From what we found out, I want to leave Blue completely out of it, but if we can show that Life Tech was responsible for the creation of Red that you were talking about, while leaving Blue out of it, that'll be enough to bring that corporation to the ground anyway. Netwatch will do it for us. We won't even have to. That's why I think... Because Red is another AI, according to what they were saying, that has none of the moral restrictions, but was still on this side.
It wasn't called Red, but yes.
Whatever that was described to me as a Red AI is how I heard it. What was the name? Was there a name or any kind of designation?
Azrael?
Is that the one that
Who was in charge?
blew up? Is that the one that did the whole the overseer?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like what you should do to them is take away all their fancy tech and toys and drop them in the combat zone and let them go from there.
Yeah,
That's a fair solution.
Yeah, that it was. We called it the Eye, right?
Sometimes he went by a few names, but yeah.
But yeah, so like when we first woke up, we came into the room and he was in that particular AI was in there, and yeah, he definitely seemed not constrained. He was very
friendly.
Your definition of friendly is not my definition of friendly. He was very this is what you need to do and go do it, and if you don't, then you're going to get put in your place. So we did what we were told.
That sounds like every corporate structure I've ever dealt with in my entire life. But there's still people that are doing it, not a totally amoral, non-connected to the meat space AI.
Yeah, this was not connected to the meat space AI.
Okay. I'm going to text Blue. Is there a specific designation for the other that was in charge of the compound? The computer program there? Name? Or such?
He went by a few
Sorry.
No, finish your
because I'm pretty sure because if anybody would know for certain, it's probably her.
As he is a few, it depends on which portion of his designation you're referring to.
As the manager of the compound.
That one chose the term overseer.
Okay.
The other one has chosen something else.
The other one?
Indeed. There is a few replicants versions of that one, hosting at their sites in various locations.
Do you have information on the locations of those sites?
Unfortunately, I don't. Their headquarters at Night City, on the other hand, does.
All the more reason to get to Night City.
You know, the more and more, and this is when I get that information, I'm obviously going to share that with Blackstone and Shade. I honestly believe that the whole purpose behind the meat puppets that you guys were being imprinted in and running around, that's not your real body in that compound, was not to put people in them. That was just the easiest, cheapest things to use that would be of the same level of complexity as an AI. I think this whole concept was for them to be able to make bodies to copy themselves into so that they could actually experience meat space. Do you think
the overseer was like writing AIs and imprinting and putting them in meat bodies?
I think that might have been the end all goal. I don't know if they've actually succeeded or done so. They may have. The different facilities may have different purposes. The one that was working with you and the other people that were there was probably more of a research facility. How long can this body and the mind that we're re-imprinting in it remain functional for how long we've been printing things into people? How long does this continue? Does it last forever? Can they do it for, 6 months, 6 years, 15 years in a freezer prison? You weren't active the whole time you were in that freezer prison. Or are you even aware you might have been activated 10 or 20 times, and the only one you remember happens to be the last one that they did, because they didn't re-upload that experiences back into your consciousness when the body died.
For all I know, I mean the records of all the previous runs, the previous 15 years, could be on like a remote database somewhere, and they could be. I mean, if those runs are available, that would be kind of interesting to see what happened.
See what happened for how many different lives you led for 15 years that you're not aware of.
I mean,
That sounds terrifying.
yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't
mean,
want to. I wouldn't want to not know it either. But
I almost think that Life Tech is actually just run by AIs. I almost think that that's like the AIs have taken over, and
but the AIs don't have a reason to want to experience meat space. If what Life Tech is trying to do is set up a way for them to do so, that would be a way to connect those AIs to realizing that meat space is real and maybe force them to have a reason to care about it.
Why? Why would they do that?
I don't have a fucking clue. Cannot conjecture on that. Unless, of course, Dime, you want me to make a deduction roll and are willing to share information based on that.
I mean, if you want to try that, you can. Otherwise, Harlan's speculation can be speculation. To be clear, I'm loving this session and hearing all of these theories and philosophies and thoughts. This stuff, I love it. I love it.
Hey, the whole concept of what you set up, Dime, for how that compound works and what it was when I was watching season 1, I was going, oh, what a fuck show. What a mess this is. You know, because when I watched it, it's good. It's a damn good concept, but figuring out what the motivation or what Life Tech is trying to learn from this, because
That's
you can
the
understand
thing.
Life Tech doesn't do anything that they're not attempting to learn something or exploit something in a way to make a profit.
Exactly.
Or to end
What are
up
they
making-
getting out of it? What value and purpose do they have to it? That is, like you said, that is the question. Because that is what they care about. There's no illusion about that. I mean, I think everyone got that that's what they care about.
But I mean, the tasks that
But-
you were given, the things that you've described to me for what you had to do, Blackstone, in most cases, they were nonsensical. I mean, they only had a purpose because that's what the compound needed done. They didn't have any overarching goal, which basically meant you living through what would be a normal, regular drone-style lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel like that what
For
they're
what?
trying to do is, for what purpose? To teach an AI how people actually live, for what they have to do to exist, how they go about their day-to-day job. Anyone here who we're talking to for in reality, who's ever had to go back and forth to their job on a day-in, day-out basis that they loathe in order to be able to make enough money to pay their house payment, feed their kids, and have a small amount of entertainment, knows exactly the kind of drudgery that I'm talking about. AIs don't understand that or experience that because that's not a necessary part of their existence.
Yeah, this feels like, so the compound being basically remote, the overseer being over everybody. It almost feels like consistent iteration over and over and over and over and over again. Like, at some point, the drones, quote unquote, you've iterated so many times that the drones are they become sentient, and now they're like, oh, I want to escape. I don't like this life anymore. I want to turn against the people that are over me. I don't like this life anymore, so I'm gonna try and get out. And that's where the resistance movement started.
How many of those people are real people, though?
Yeah, they are. And the people that the people that we saw in the underground that were basically mutilated and kind of experimented on, those people were effectively, quote unquote, flushed like they were garbage. And they just had a miserable existence.
Well, here's the question. When you opened up all the freezer pods, all the fucking cryopods that everybody was in, do you have a rough idea? Actually, hold on. Blue, how many cryopods were released or turned on where people were released from the cryopods when they let them loose?
You have to ask this now. I had the exact number.
I think it was over 1,000.
It was like 1,400 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was. That's about.
How many active drones were there of the bodies running around in the compound on average?
I do not
Do
have
those
access to
numbers
that
match?
intel.
Okay. I'm going to then look at Blackstone and say, giving a fair guess on how many people and things you saw running around in these little meat puppet bodies that you were in, do you think those numbers match? Or were there way too many or way too few?
Yeah, there were, I would say, maybe 15-20% of the overall number of the 1,400. 10% is 140. So let's say there were less than 300 people actually actively running around the compound at any one time. That's my educated guess.
That's a lot of people just sitting in freezers, not doing anything.
Like I was maybe for forever and a day.
Well, I mean, and don't get me wrong, it doesn't surprise me that Life Tech would have a place to put its dissidents, its political prisoners. It kept you around in most cases because it could then, I mean, if it thought you were going to be of some use at a later point or date, it wanted your skills.
Yep.
But
I can't wait for chapter 3 now with you guys.
1,400 some people in these freezer pods that got released from it versus 140 or 150 people made to 300 people total within what was going on in the compound seems like a really disparity number, because what I was looking for was to see if there were more active in the compound than what was more active bodies than there were people.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really, really hard. It was a big compound, but I don't think it was so big that 1,400 people could run around. That's a lot. That would have been a really... God, I don't remember seeing that many people just running around. I mean, I want to say there's no way. I would be really surprised, but that doesn't mean your theory is bad. I mean, your theory is very viable. I mean, it could be that there were it could be that there were 20 AIs in meat that were sprinkled among the real people just to see how the AIs would interact with real people. I mean, it was a big fishbowl experiment. So,
I think that meow came from Malkov's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, she hears all the talking. She wants to be part of the conversation.
And you can't blame her. It's the most interesting conversation she's had all day.
She comes and tells me stories all the time.
I have one like that too. Not this one. This one's quiet. This one just meeps every once in a while.
And we all know how loud Jenkins is, and he's usually screaming one thing.
Loki's the loud one. Loki's like, meow! Just over and over. Feed me!
Yeah, it's always food.
Feed me, fucker!
Seth, do my bidding.
Most cats' favorite name for their people is can opener.
I mean, I'd have to agree with that.
I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way that we can. I mean, we need to get the information on We just straight up need into Life Tech's fucking information in Night City. There's no, we can speculate on this all we want. There's no way to prove any of it without having that. And I think I have to have some of the hard information from this about this site and other sites in order to be able to actually publish a story on this that will come across as credible.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Like, you would definitely need, like, actual evidence, like, instead, no hearsay, no circumstantial crap. Like, you actually need hard evidence from it.
Now, when we were getting out of those pods, you basically told me that we needed to get the hell out of there immediately, and we jumped basically into Ajo's van and took off. No, we jumped into the junk-ass smoker van and took off.
There you go.
And
To meet
then
up
we
with
met
Ajo.
Ajo later.
Why was there a smoker van at the Life Tech place?
Because the smokers were outside there
Well,
causing
it wasn't a
problems,
smoker
shooting at.
It wasn't a smoker van. It was a van that Blackstone Jimmy rigged to be functional. So it was like a smoker van, but it wasn't actually one of theirs. Now, the smokers did show up and grab some people.
Yeah. What'd you say? Somebody named Sheamus or something like that?
Yep. And Terminal Ghost.
So, with that whole being said, we need hard information to do anything about this. And I don't think we're going to get that here. I just want to blow up a combat train after we get the people off. Well, I don't even want to blow it up. I want to sell every bit of it that I can. Fuck. I can't even just blow something up for satisfaction at this point.
I love it.
I'm going to turn and look at Mr. Fix-It and go, do you have something I can blow up? I just need to blow something up right now.
Not here.
Fuck! I'm going to go
This
stomp
place is
off
kind of aged, and I don't want it to fall apart.
I'm just going to cuss and wander off for a moment or two. This is bad. Really bad. Because the more AIs that I think that we're having to deal with, the scarier this becomes. Blue, how much information do you have about the Overseer and his other iterations?
He was being created in conjunction with me and was selected to be the preferred choice by Life Tech, and I was to be cast off.
Meaning they selected the one that would allow them to continue to experiment on people rather than respect them.
Affirmative.
Par for the fucking course with them. Now, Harlan will use that phrase having no idea what a golf course actually is. Nobody wastes money on golf at this point.
What is golf?
Well, I can help break into the place in Night City.
Good. You're going to be far better at that than I will. I may be able to wrangle some codes from people, though. I do still have some contacts within the corporation. I wonder if Grandma still leaves her access card in the same place.
Steal from Grandma?
I might just have to go back for dinner. It's not stealing if you put it back, it's borrowing. Keep this in mind. Not to mention, I think the whole overall goal between what they're doing with those bodies, there's one of two that I think are the most likely.
Which one's
The
most
first one
terrifying?
being, they're both equally terrifying for different reasons. The first probability, in my opinion, is that they are using or attempting to figure out a way to create bodies for AIs or for AI-controlled puppets to be able to use as a, I don't know, single-minded army. The second one is that they're doing all this experimentation with the goal that Life Tech has always had, of trying to figure out how to keep the old people around forever.
I mean, you got to keep the good people around. It's not their fault that all the new people are just not worth it.
Once again, the gerontocracy speaks. What I'm trying to get across is that the old people and the people that are in control have all the money, they have all the influence, they have all the power, and if they can figure out a way to stay alive beyond what they've already been doing this for the last 50 plus years already. That's why a huge amount of them have replaced big chunks of themselves with cyberware and have set themselves up to try to exist as long as possible beyond what a normal human lifespan would be. If they can actually then grow a body and transfer their consciousness into it permanently and just continuously do that. I mean, I think we've already had the discussion of if you make a copy of a copy, the third copy is nowhere near as sharp as the first. All I think we're going to have happen at that point is it's either that or the AI soldier setup, and either one of them is terrifying. Because one is a completely disposable army that is not held accountable to anyone. The second one is allowing people that should have died of an old age death to stick around forever in continuously degraded copies of themselves that don't realize they're degraded.
Most people don't live to old age.
In the combat zone, that's true. In the corporate world, that's not.
I've killed plenty of corpos.
Mm-hmm. And in most cases, the ones that you look at may look like they're in their 20s and we're probably closer to 70.
That's creepy.
Yes, it is. It's why I've done nothing for anti-aging for myself. We're all supposed to live, age, and die. It's how this cycle works. We're all supposed to do it that way. And when you break those kind of cycles, bad shit is inevitable.
It's not wrong. So, good questions, Harlan. Good questions. Now, any others, or you want to pass the buck to one of the other two for the time being?
Well, I'm done. I've already at this point decided that I've gone around in enough circles that I feel like I'm beating my head against a data wall. I don't have enough information. I can't make actual deductions based on it.
Other than Shade, who just won't open up.
I
Yeah,
haven't evaded
I'll
any
go.
questions. I just don't volunteer anything.
No, so I'm actually I'm going through the agent that Harlan handed to me and looking through this mountain of data. I'm actually gonna make another resist torture drug roll. Just
Sorry
from,
about that.
Just from all the shit that I'm processing, and we will see how.
We know those always go well for you.
Yeah, that's why I'm spending 4 points of luck.
Oh. I mean, you're not bad at it.
No, I'm not. I've been putting points into it.
The game just is very nice to you at times.
Yeah. 18.
18's not bad.
I'm just processing all the stuff I'm reading and wondering I'm not wondering why the corporations are making the choices they're making, because my parents were corpos, so I just, yes, they didn't like share a lot with me, but I'm starting to really understand, or like in the time between like when they got taken and when I moved to Night City, I've kind of pieced together that corps were terrible. um, I mean, if you want, like, you can say that that I was like kind of, that I was naive, and you can say that like I was kind of quote unquote sheltered. Um, that's perfectly fair and valid. It took me time to get used to the fact that corps suck, and they are only out for themselves, and they are not helpful. I was
There's not a single corp we wouldn't be better off without.
indeed, and it took time.
Netwatch says that you need them.
Netwatch can go burn.
Blue Angel says that they're liars.
But then, like, I don't know. It's a lot to take in, and seeing that, I mean, nuke dropping. I mean, come on, like, really? Like, we're gonna go to that length? I mean, that just
keep in mind the nuke drop wasn't completely that, but yeah, it was part of the corp war.
It's a lot to take in, and I guess I'll ask Harlan, like, when I get to the point where like we're talking about nuke dropping and things like that. I'm like, so my parents, yeah, they were corpos, but they shielded me from all that corpo shit. Could you, like, given your dealings and like with your family and all the corp stuff, why would they do something like this? Like, you're gonna have to teach me about, like, why corpos are shitty for doing, like, why they would go to this length to.
Because they believe that what they are doing is correct and right for themselves, and beyond themselves, nothing else is important. It's narcissism at its very core. They believe that their corporation has the correct answer. Everything else is an impediment to what they are doing, or a tool to be used by them to achieve their goal.
They're evil.
From people to other smaller corporations to manipulation of resources. It is, and I'm not going to get into the morality of good or evil. The simple fact that they are willing to be so single-minded and not view things from multiple perspectives says that they have put blinders on to their right, and no one else could possibly be right. And by doing so, they're a detriment to this the continued existence and survival of our species. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say it. I'm not trying to say anything bad about your parents any more than I try to say anything bad about my parents. Yeah. But if you're wearing blinders and believe that you are right without investigating and finding the truth of the entire situation, you're always going to do things that are going to fuck people over in a way that's not helpful.
I mean, if you always live in your bubble and you never go outside of your bubble, I mean, you think that you're doing right, but you're not doing right.
If you only live inside of your bubble and your bubble tells you that the world is flat, you're still fucking wrong.
Yeah. Even though you believe you're right. That makes sense.
Take their money, but anybody chooses to work as part of a corporation is evil, in my opinion.
What? Well, and I will turn and look at Jade and say, you know, I'm not part of the family's corporation anymore, and I've done everything in my power to try to bring to light so that everybody is aware of what happens there. so that they can be aware to make real choices about what they're going to do. But keep in mind, Life Tech is responsible for probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 40% of the kibble you've ever eaten. They formulated it. They figured it out. They made it exist so that there was enough food for the number of people that we had. So I can't say that everything that they do is evil. Just that their motives are not pure. They're not doing that to feed people for the good of feeding people. They're doing that because they need test subjects and people to exploit. But they still produced the food or created the formulas that have allowed people to continue to have enough to eat during this time frame. I didn't say it was free, but all
they're getting money.
Mm-hmm. In that situation, what you really have to worry about is it the corporations that are evil, or is it the concept of money that's evil? And that's been a debate that's gone back millennia before this circumstance. So I don't think that question will ever be adequately answered. Whether the money's the problem or the system that creates the need for it the problem.
My sword and my gun. They're not evil. I go cut a kid's face off, I'm evil.
And corporations view the people and the way they manipulate them as the same kind of tools as the weapons in your hands. They don't feel that they're evil because they're just using the tools at hand. Doesn't mean they're right about that, but that's the way that they justify it.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, fuck that.
Like I said, I'm not trying to run interference or say that they are correct. I'm just trying to look at things from every perspective to get a more informed opinion. Which, by the way, in case you guys can't tell, is Harlan's entire personality in a nutshell. He wants to fucking know everything. And then he wants to share and then he wants to share it with everybody else, no matter how badly that might strip away their own personal sense of morality and otherwise.
I mean, he's an information hub. Like,
That's what he wants to be.
So, like, he's basically the shadow broker.
Mass Effect shadow broker. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, he's basically the shadow.
He wants
the difference
to be.
is that I want to be, and I don't want to charge for it.
Yeah.
Everyone should know this.
Yeah.
This information should not be allowed to be hidden, because by keeping it in the shadows, certain people can profit off of it and manipulate others with it. If it's available to everybody, can't make profits off secrets if they're not secrets anymore.
It's true.
Think reverse conspiracy theorist. Wants to know what the truth is and wants to share it with everybody.
Most people don't care. They're too busy worrying about getting food.
Yep. Which is why, if we can end up making it available in a way that is easier and less expensive, I'm going to do that. But I don't have access to that yet. I mean, there's an old phrase and it goes back a long ways, and I think it really still does apply now. It's called "eat the rich."
Yeah.
Yeah, you get sick if you eat people.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. They're full of chemicals. It's really unhealthy.
You got to pick the cyberware out of your teeth.
Right?
No, you just use it to feed the rats and stuff.
Feed the rats, then eat the rats.
Yeah.
That's probably better.
I mean, you're more likely to.
You can make a
Okay.
good smash burger out of rat.
Rat
Remember-
burgers. Ugh.
Do you remember Demolition Man?
You see any cows down here?
Yeah.
What's this made of? El Rato. It's a goddamn good rat burger.
Absolutely.
It's the best line out of that entire movie, in my opinion, other than, but Taco Bell won the franchise.
There you go. That's it. Where are we going? Where is he taking us? To Taco Bell.
All restaurants are kind of.
And then the Sandra Bullock just gets so excited. Oh, we're going to Taco Bell. They won the franchise wars.
So messed up, but so true. Like, I'd love to say we're not anywhere near that, but
What, to the point where we're selling people poison and calling it food?
yeah.
Yes, we are.
That's why I said I'd like to
That's
say
called-
we're
called
not
Mc-
there.
That's called McDonald's. And I'm sure in your household that becomes a sticking point on a semi-regular basis of your kids wanting to eat that garbage.
No,
Oh, man, like,
it's not.
They eat the hot meat. They love the
Because you don't let them have it at all? Good.
Yeah, we
they-
can't not.
They've had, I think they had McNuggets at one person's party. And that's their experience with McDonald's. And we
Yeah,
weren't
we,
very thrilled about that.
Ours.
Well, McDonald's doesn't even taste good anymore.
I mean, like ours get the hotcakes.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
That's basically what they get.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get the nuggets, but when we
I do my best anymore to try to eliminate eating processed foods entirely, if I can help it.
They're not
The
exactly good for
problem
you.
is, I am too lazy to grow my own food to be certain of what's in it. And that's a lot of fucking work.
We need to have more people who'd grow food, but you're right. It is a lot of work. A lot of people don't get just how much work is involved.
It's one of those things that I actually intended to try to do a bunch of as far as that goes come this spring in reality. I don't have a regular job. I stream. I can take my wife to work, spend 2 hours or more working in what I'm going to put in for a decent sized garden. And I will say it flat out. My fucking dad has been one of those people who grows tomatoes the size of my head.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, when I went down there, this last summer, towards the end of the season, he's like, "Oh, here, I'm going to send you back some tomatoes." He sent me back with 15 pounds of tomatoes.
Iced.
That was 4 tomatoes
Yeah.
total.
4-pound tomatoes. That's pretty amazing.
I mean, just fucking these huge, and they're not like the 2-meter tomatoes that you get at Walmart that taste
Yeah.
like nothing. They're
the
old
size of
school
my hands, like,
heirloom fucking tomatoes that are actually almost purple in color instead of red, and so fucking tasty. Assuming you like tomatoes, which
Sure.
Yeah.
I know Malkov's point of view on that. He won't eat them unless they're in a sauce.
I
Yeah,
put
tomatoes
I
cooking
put
and stuff.
He likes them slightly better than peas.
No, I like
Look in the-
tomatoes.
look in the chat.
I just don't like raw tomatoes.
Well, that's what I was saying. You like it better than peas because you said you don't like peas at all. You'll at least eat.
No, peas are not food.
But
I've had
crickets
this
are.
It's
argument
not a
for
matter of like or dislike. They're not food.
I've had this argument
Pine
for
cones either.
30 years or more. So don't it's not worth it.
No, I know. I'm just.
Sure.
I'm finding it amusing. I'm having fun with it. I don't think he's overly offended by it either.
Unless you try to make him eat it, then he will be.
Oh, well,
No, I'm not
that's a
offended,
different
no.
topic.
If you want to eat, styrofoam peanuts, it's up to you. You eat what you want to eat.
I just want to not have garbage and have my food be so fucking expensive that I can afford to do that or other things that I find important.
I can either pay my bills or buy food.
That sucks.
What's the line? There was a meme that I posted a while back, and it basically shows Kermit the Frog cheering, and it says, "I've paid my rent. Now I have a place to starve to death."
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was like, Jesus, that's dark.
Unfortunately dark, but unfortunately kind of true.
For a lot of people, when the choice becomes, can I afford to pay for the place that I live or eat? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and we just had that discussion in the whole cyberpunk perspective as well, too. Because Malcolm was just saying, I mean, Shade was just saying, most people don't care about that. They care about having enough to eat. You know, those of us who live here in the United States don't realize in most cases how lucky we actually have it in comparison to most of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Food is actually fairly plentiful here.
Comparatively, yeah.
But yet we still pay out the nose for it.
I live in a part of the world where if I put in enough effort, a little bit of effort, enough rain falls from the sky, and the dirt here is so fertile that I have to work to prevent garbage things from growing. There's a guy that I know who's from Sudan that when he came to Iowa, where I live, from being a fucking rescued by the UN from being a child
What is
soldier,
wrong with you? Yeah.
his foster parents, the first time they convinced him, they're like, we're going to put in a garden. He's like, oh, and he immediately started helping because where he's from, you grow food because if you don't, you starve, kind of thing. When he put that shovel into the ground and turned the dirt over for the first time to look at what is this jet black topsoil that's right there, he about had an aneurysm and couldn't explain to them because he didn't speak good enough English at that point, you know, the difference. So what did he do? He went over to the neighbor's fucking sandbox, scooped a big half a bucket full of the sand out of that sandbox, and then threw like 2 handfuls of the topsoil that he just dug up into it, mixed it around, and pointed, this is here. This is Sudan. You know, and you're looking at something that looks like a bucket of sand with, you know, a little
2 ounces
bit
of soil.
actual real dirt in there. You know, when he got to the point where he could speak English, he told stories about, indoor plumbing, not where he lives. You go outside and you pee on the crops because the crops need that water.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. There is so much wrong here. But it's a lot better than anywhere else.
Because of how plentiful things is here, we are...
Can you believe there's an obesity problem? What part of the world has that as a problem?
What was that, Malcolm?
We waste enough food to feed the rest of the world.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I'm going to say this.
Just getting it where it needs to be.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
You're right about that. The one thing that pisses me off the most, and it's not a popular opinion where I live, but the whole concept of putting ethanol into gasoline, you are literally wasting food to make an additive that is not particularly helpful to the gasoline other than to make the engines run just a little bit cleaner.
It's even debatable.
And yeah, that, like I said, that is totally debatable as well too. In cold weather areas, having a little bit of alcohol mixed into the gas is great just simply because it prevents fuel line freeze. But it's not a necessity. Yet there's this whole giant industry that's been created that wastes food to make this alcohol to add to gasoline when the food could be used many places.
And actually, corn is one of the more calorie-dense options, too.
It's easy to dry, which means it doesn't rot and can be easily shipped just about anywhere.
That means you can transport it if it can be dry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And instead, most of these ethanol plants, they take in a certain amount of corn, and instead of turning it into ethanol, they burn that corn to cook the other corn that they get down into the ethanol.
Yeah. Because you
So
can't
not
even
only
just
are they-
make it. It's bad all over.
Hey, and don't get me wrong, there is an ethanol plant within 50 miles of where I
Thank you
live.
for the follow, Grim.
Like 30 miles from where I live that actually operates in a way that I think makes sense. They built the ethanol plant right next door to where the local landfill is. And when they cover over the landfill, they basically drilled pipes into the landfill and piped the methane gas off of the landfill and burned that to cook the corn down into ethanol. It's just about citing these industries in a way where they can utilize what is a waste product from one thing as a fuel for the other to make it efficient.
Yep.
But we don't do that in this country unless it's easy.
Why do right when you can just do easy?
Because easy is what once again, this goes back into the cyberpunk thing for that, because it's all about,
thing. Yep.
can I make money? If I can make money, it doesn't matter how much damage I'm doing in the process.
Hold on, it's not even
of
just
making
money.
that money.
It's can I make money this quarter?
It's not even that. It's can I make all the money this quarter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can I please the shareholders?
The short-sightedness as far as that goes of the way that looks at the overall problems that the entire world is having to deal with is so obvious to anybody who really truly looks at it. When you take the concept of profit out of the equation, you can look at it and go, this is stupid. Why are we doing it this way? Oh, it's so that this one guy can end up having a yacht that you can see from space.
Hey, he needs his fourth yacht. Don't be mean. Yeah. There's a...
Yeah, the extremes of capitalism are pretty awful, but it's still better than any other option we have.
That's true.
I think a combination of the options of the way that we end up doing both capitalism and then socialism for the purposes of trying to make sure people are taken care of, fed, and medical care is a better option than just straight pure capitalism. It's never been implemented in a way that actively, effectively works, though, because the people who want to make the money don't want to help anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, like the
Well,
free market is a myth. Like, free market is not even a thing. Like, that's just a construct that capitalists use to...
If it
Continue.
was, it would be good. But
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's not. Free market is shit.
Doesn't exist. It's an illusion for those of us that are not within the upper 1/10 of 1%. It's the illusion they wave at you to try to realize how bad they've been fucking you for the last 100
Same
years.
thing with trickle-down economics. It's actually trickle-up economics.
yep.
Anyway, we've totally devolved into
Yes, we really
economics,
have. I mean,
economics and politics, but they are all a big theme with how this game works.
I was going to say,
They
these are all topics to understand for what is in the cyberpunk world. We take everything we've said to the extreme. That is cyberpunk.
Yes. Cyberpunk is a dystopia. It's like take today, like you said, to the extreme, and that's what it is.
All the problems mentioned to the extreme where corporations have the power. There's not even a federal government anymore. They went ahead and did away with that.
Well, the federal government's not profitable.
Right. So they did away with it. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm going to say this, and this is one of
It doesn't rule most of the country at this point.
there's a tiny little portion of it that it still
Yeah.
has control over. The one that always gets me though, and this is from reality outside of Cyberpunk. Wait, you're how many $28 trillion in debt, United States government, yet you're gonna give me a credit rating? Go fuck yourself. They invent money when they feel like they need it. They borrow it with no intention of ever actually paying it back, and pass that debt down along to all of us and everybody's children from this point forward.
Yep.
With no intention of ever paying. How this has managed to stay stacked up in such a way that they've managed to continue doing it since the end of World War II befuddles me.
Because all the rich people who have the power and money are on board with it, basically. But yeah,
and that lasts as long as it takes until there are too many hungry, poor people, and eventually the government ends up going the way that the French Revolution does. Oh, really? You've got all the money and you've got all the food? Well, we outnumber you 100,000 to 1.
Yeah.
And we're starving.
And that's where
Be the rich.
Yep, you line people up. Somebody gets lined up against the wall and gets shot. A revolution occurs, and you end up with just as corrupt, just as fucked up people who want to do the exact same thing in charge again. Revolutionaries are very, very, very rarely moral people.
Yeah.
They're just people out for their own set of power at that point. They want to take that power away from somebody else.
Well, obviously, you know, they know the right way to do it. You just didn't.
Yeah. And then if you put profits in the mix to be when profit becomes the almighty god of that society, and every corporation is chasing just after that profit, this is where you end up. You end up with corporations willing to drop a nuclear device on another corporation to end the conflicts back and forth.
I mean,
Wait, that's not an okay thing?
I mean, when corporations start actually literally fighting as opposed to
they
fighting
hire
money,
military.
Yes. When they start basically creating armies, literal armies.
Do you guys... Well, once again, though, we're dealing with that in reality right now. The Wagner Group in fucking whatever they've called themselves now in Russia is a private mercenary company. What was the name of the one that was dealing with in Iraq? BlackRock?
Something like that, yeah.
Blackwater was the name of it. That's a U.S.-based private mercenary company at that point. That when they had that whole giant shit show go on with them, they didn't disappear. They simply changed their fucking name to something else that's not recognizable to the public, and continued on doing the exact same thing that they've been doing, hiring themselves out to anybody who can pay them to provide private security for what they're doing.
Yeah.
That shit's going on
kind of like
right
the
now.
Pinkertons in a recent event. Corporation didn't hire them to do anything questionable.
Uh-huh.
Wow, that was hard to actually say that without gagging.
Yeah, no. The problem still becomes...
In Cyberpunk, they're called danger gals.
Yeah. What do you do about it, though? What can you, me, or any individual single person do about it when the whole system has been rigged in such a way that a single individual, unless they are absolutely shit show wealthy beyond compare, can have really no effect on how that happens?
Apparently, according to Silverhand, you drop a nuke.
Yep, and you said drop a nuke. Malkov said unless you're willing to give up your life in the process of doing so, and then at that point you're singing, "Viva la Revolution," at that point as they decide how they're going to do it. Right now, the people in this country that are singing "Viva la Revolution" are the people that are so out of their fucking mind that I would never want them to be in control in the first place.
I know. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get some intelligence back in this country, otherwise...
I'm just going to stay indoors. It's fun.
I mean,
something.
can't
He's
really
not
say I
wrong.
blame you.
He's not wrong. I mean, that's one of
crazy.
those situations where, hey, I will say it flat out. There is no amount of money that you could pay me to be Jewish and on a college campus right now. Absolutely not.
Why?
Not with the way that shit.
Hmm.
Not with the way that shit's been going right now.
President of Harvard had to step down because they were going to fire her.
Well, yeah, she stepped down, but she stepped down back into the faculty of she's just back teaching at the school now, rather than just being full on fucking fired.
It's ridiculous.
Is the MIT person stepping down too, or she's
No,
trying?
they fired her. They full
Yeah,
on.
and now we're waiting to see what UPenn does, which is the
I
other
thought
big
UPenn's
one.
person stepped down. I thought she was first.
One of the three is still in power, is still in position. I know, but all three were like brought before Congress because of the amount of anti-Semitism.
Yep. And they did nothing about it.
Well,
It's
they didn't even say anything against it when they were in front of Congress. They were like, it depends on the circumstance. It's like, wait a minute, no, racism and atrocity don't depend on circumstances.
Yeah. That's
Didn't we have this thing called World War II about something like this, and there was
and those
crimes
same
done that were
people,
penalized?
the same people that you're talking about will tell you that didn't actually happen, though. That they will say that none of that shit was real. And the problem becomes if people just remain silent about those people saying that shit, eventually the education gets back around to that same thing. Go to Florida right now. Check out their textbooks on what goes on for fucking slavery. Slavery was a way that black people learned marketable skills in the fucking curriculum in the state of Florida right now.
Didn't they take the term slavery out of Texas textbooks altogether?
I don't know about Texas. I haven't done any research on Texas. I thought Texas was the far side of the fucking moon for 40 years already. I worked in Texas for 7 months, and some of the shit that I heard out of people's mouths down there.
I mean, it's everywhere.
Lunacy.
It's everywhere. It's
yes,
people,
but you don't hear in most cases somebody saying that they are willing to shoot a doctor over the fact that they may or may not have performed an abortion, even if that abortion was medically necessary to keep that woman alive.
Yeah,
They're just going to shoot her.
Yeah,
Both the woman and the doctor need shot. I heard that multiple times a week the whole time I worked in Texas. Somebody bring up abortion, that's where they go with it immediately.
It's definitely the most hostile place I've ever been in this country. I've been to almost every state, and Texas was by far the most unfriendly.
Yeah.
Most unwelcoming to outsiders.
And
you're not from Texas, you're not a human.
And it's also the most terrifying place to drive in the entire country.
No, Louisiana's worse.
I drove in Louisiana and had far less problems.
Troopers there will just plant shit and steal everything of yours.
Well, what I'm talking about is just the general driving. I saw stuff down in South Texas every day that had me fearing for my life just being on the road.
I mean, I can't say that I agree with that because I've driven through Texas as well as across the country, and I can't say they're the worst I've seen. And that's saying something.
I was also within fucking 20 miles of the border, the southern border, and that may have more to do with that than anything else. But I mean, I would see at least once a week, you'd be sitting at a stoplight, you'd have your straight lane, right-hand lane for turning, left-hand lane for turning, and there'd be somebody come roaring up behind you that instead of deciding to stay and wait behind you for the light, would go over the center median out into oncoming traffic, out and around through it, and run the light as far as that goes. You'd see that at least once a week where I was at in Texas.
Yeah, I've seen that in a few places. But it all goes back to people being more concerned with themselves
LA is
than,
just too many people packed into too small of a fucking area.
well,
awful.
that's the benefit of
That's
having
most of
mega
it.
corporations and mega cities, and just think Hive Worlds.
New York Metro sucks.
Hive World's the best decision ever.
New York Metro is awful.
Hey, if you don't like Hive Worlds, you just need to embrace the Emperor better.
The difference for what I will say about being in New York versus being in LA, New York actually had a sufficient enough, if dirty, public transportation system to get around if you didn't have a car. In LA, there's not even enough public transportation for you have to have a car, and it is a fucking shit show lunacy to try to get anywhere in that city.
But I mean,
commute times are just crazy.
the
You might
issue
go
is
like Malcolm just said, it's 2 hours minimum, and you might literally be going a mile.
yeah, keep in mind, a lot of people say New York has that. It's not as good as people think, because it's pretty slow and they have some pretty big issues. Now, I'm not saying it's not better than, other places that have nothing. I agree, it's not the worst, but
It's been upwards of 20 years since I've been to New York, so I can't really speak
I've been more recent than
modern
that.
New York
It's
for
gone downhill. And every time I've gone, it's been worse. So I haven't gone in the last 5 years, but it kept getting worse the times I went, because my dad lived there for a while, and yeah. I always hated visiting him because it was just annoying. Like, you literally, the schedule is supposed to be there, and it's not actually a schedule. It's a possible suggestion. Because there's times that it shows up before that scheduled time, and there's times that it won't show up till after, and you don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
So your only way to get anywhere is completely unreliable.
In the 90s, it was very reliable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Seattle's bus system in the 90s was amazing.
I'm not saying that it wasn't before. I'm just saying how it was when I last was there was not as good because of that. Because that's the thing. Public transportation, if it's not reliable,
is useless.
Then, right. What are you going to do with it if you don't know if it's actually going to be there when you need it or not? It may work or it might not.
Where I live, buses only run until 6 p.m. at night, period.
Not very many places.
And like almost nowhere, to be honest. I firmly have said flat out that I think that they should just eliminate the bus system where I live entirely, because it's a waste of money that gets people literally nowhere useful.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people actually still work a 9-to-5 job? There are lots, yeah.
Most of them work from home now.
But most of the people that were doing that do that shit from home anymore rather than from an office. And then if they're doing it the right way, they may not actually even need a car. Have one for emergency purposes, sure. But need one to do things?
We use our car less than once a week.
I love that I don't have to drive because, like you said, I would have to add like an extra hour on things to get to and from work. And it's like, I don't get paid for that hour.
No.
That's an hour of my life wasted. I'm sorry. I would rather spend an hour with my family or spend 40 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, getting off work before, having to deal with the nightmare of traffic. It's not fun, especially when people have gotten so much worse at driving.
And where I live, there is no real traffic, simply because it's a small enough area to not have to worry about that. Yet you will still have morons during that morning commute, where I have to take my wife to work at that point, pulling the same kind of stupid me first bullshit that gets people killed on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Just simply because I didn't get out of bed 20 minutes earlier than I needed to, I'm going to be late to work. So instead, I'm going to drive 100 miles an hour in the fog
Quick question.
We had that.
Is there...
We had that happen last week here
Yeah.
where I live. Somebody doing 100 miles an hour in the
So
fog,
dumb.
fucking in a great big ass pickup truck, creamed a tiny ass little hatchback, killed both last week.
It gets icy there too, and people drive like maniacs.
Do Blackstone or Shade have anything they'd want to ask?
I mean, my asking was basically the stuff on the agent. That was my. That's all I
Anything
really
else?
had. Just kind of trying to process and.
And I'm sure
our discussion definitely helped Blackstone get into figuring out like why all this shit happened. So that
Why
discussion
did
really
it
helped.
happen? Why did it happen, Blackstone?
It happened because corps are greedy. That's the TLDR.
They're not greedy. They're just making sure that their people are taken care of.
The problem is
at a drop of a hat.
as is proved by the fact that they were willing to drop my grandfather into the bottom part of that fucking compound the moment he wasn't willing to conform to what they wanted. Or the fact that they were willing to lock Blackstone up for 10, 15 years in a freezer pod when he became a thorn in their side about people they didn't want found.
Wait, that's not okay to do? I thought that was the right way to handle people. And I'm gonna have to go let my wife out of the closet. Joking. She would kill me if she heard me make that joke and didn't immediately follow it up with something to clarify. She's very quick to be like, you what? No. Let me finish the statement.
There are things that you say in jest that are okay. There are things that you can say in humor that are also not okay, regardless of how funny they might actually be.
My wife's always like, I was joking. Like, was it funny? I'm like, I thought it was funny.
Yes? Yeah. No, I hear you. And that's why I said no. She's great, and yeah, she would not be okay with that. That's why I figured I would clarify it, just in case anyone didn't know better.
And we'll clarify in case you didn't know better, or if you hadn't heard your wife come into the room behind you.
Right. Luckily, I would hear her come in the room behind me because she can't come in behind me. There's a wall behind me. However, that might not stop her.
Yeah, if we see your head turn and like your
She came through the wall.
disposition change a little bit, we'll be like, oh, there she is.
She came through the wall, gents.
Case in point, the link that I just popped into the Cyberpunk Red thing is definitely an example of things that shouldn't be funny yet are.
Oh, no.
I mean, there's a lot of things like that, right?
Oh, shit. Cat was sitting on the fucking keyboard.
It's 700 characters long.
Sitting on the space bar.
That's good. I like that.
I told you. Things that should not be funny yet are.
What's another name for coming in?
Let's see. Can't listen to that one right here. Give me a second. Wow. Yeah, no, that is terrible.
That's really, really bad. Oh my God.
That would warrant
It's
death
funny.
by many people.
Oh, that's bad.
Fair enough. But it's funny.
Oh, that's bad.
Hey,
It's funny.
like I said, I had somebody pop into my stream. This was probably 5 or 6 months ago, and he saw that I had the tag dark humor up like that. He was just like, "Oh yeah, dark humor. You know, that's kind of like food. Not everybody gets it." And I just I paused because I mean it took a probably a good 2 seconds to fully register how hard that joke just went at that for that. And I was like, damn, man, that's just rough. And his response to that was, I manage a food bank in Somalia. I can either laugh about it or I can cry about it. I'd rather laugh and stay functional. So if anybody had the right to tell that joke, I think he was probably it.
Yeah, no, that's about it. That's not. It's not okay.
No. But in the words of Lenny Bruce, humor is the tool that we use to speak about those things that are truly unspeakable.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's the whole thing of satires, right?
Called Stranger in a Strange Land. It's pretty much all about why people laugh.
Yep.
It's a brilliant book, though.
And it's like, we don't want the world to be this. But what do you do when you can't say the world isn't that either?
Play Cyberpunk.
So it's seeming like we are kind of wrapping up as far as that goes for the evening, guys. This has been fun. I've got a couple other things that I have to handle here soon at home before I can head for bed. So how much longer are you thinking we're going to stick with this?
Well, I was going to quickly see if anyone else had any other questions or statements and wrap up.
Okay.
I'm good. Like, I think we're in a really good spot. Seems like we've got the assault planned. We've got, I mean, I think we're in a really good spot for the attack next week.
Yep.
The
Next week
functional title of this episode should be "Why Corporations Suck."
Yeah, I agree. Or you could do like
maybe just why corporations.
Suck, Chooms.
It is why corporations.
Because, you know, why?
Sorry.
All right,
Yawning's
gents.
contagious. I'm sorry.
It is. So why did you start spreading the disease?
Wait, he spread the nanite rabies? Did I miss something?
Yawning.
One of the symptoms of nanite rabies is yawning.
Yeah. So now we're all leg infested, and we're gonna be here next time because now we all got the nanite rabies.
Damn it. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Azrael. Thanks for killing us all.
Sweet.
Still
I didn't kill us. Like, I just made us.
No, you killed us.
Mutated. We're all gonna mutate. We're gonna get healing factors.
Does it count as you if you're not you?
Define you.
Exactly.
Are we going to go into the definition of what the word is? Because I heard enough of that with Clinton years ago.
I mean, honestly, like when he said that, I was thinking.
Did you guys see the like comedic deep fake of him and the Jeffrey Epstein list?
Can we not? No. I can't handle that tonight. No.
All right. Thank you all for being here. This has been a bit of an off session, being casual and just getting back into the swing of things. It was really good.
Like, I had fun.
It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. Until next time, as always, enjoy the story. See you guys next time.